Alright, so the Yashica 28mm f2.8. Folks, I messed up real badly here. I am sitting in the wrong place, so I am kind of out of the focus zone. It's not a true representation of the proper focus that this lens can achieve in video, as you'll see during the rest of the video with some of the b-roll and with the photos. So please do forgive me for this. I'll do my best to not let this happen again. This video that you're seeing of my face is being recorded with the lens that is being previewed, so the Yashica 28mm f2.8 adapted to my S5. I got this a few months ago in Cape Town for 60 Rand, which is like £3. So I bought it knowing that it would be a while before I would start using it because I needed to get the adapter and everything. But I figured at that price, may as well get it and just be patient and wait until I can. Got the adapter, have played around with this lens for a few days, and I have some photos to share. Overall opinions, I guess for me, the only negativity I have from it is that it's a 28mm. I guess I'm not a huge fan of the 28mm focal length, and that's just personal preference. The lens itself, I don't think displays any chromatic aberration. There is some focus breathing, and I'll put a video up there for you to see that. And I think it's overall a pretty clean lens. Mine in particular does have some haze when you shine it directly into the sunlight, but I'm pretty sure that's age related. So the first few sets, or the first bunch of photos, those were made with an f of 2.8, so f2.8, and I had to discard a bunch of the images due to that glare, that haziness that I would get from having a wide open lens, and then after a while stopped down to 5.6, and that kind of sorted itself out. Enough of the intro. Let's look at some photos. Little flimsy everywhere. I've got my laptop on this part of my lap and my notebook on this part of my lap, and I'm not wearing my glasses, so I can't really read my notebook. Okay, so this cute little portrait of Julia. She was having a bit of a bad day. Very sweet for her to just sit there while I took a photo of her, and for this particular one I chose to convert it to black and white. I thought that the window light and the way that the soft light landed on her was a good setting for a black and white conversion. So there's that beautiful image, and as you go in you'll see, if you get the shot in focus, it's beautifully sharp. Nothing much to complain about in terms of lens sharpness with this lens. And this is a photo of my brother. It's the only photo that I have of my brother. I should have made more, and I decided to convert this one as well to black and white. Low light situation, so it's got some digital noise, but if I could have made this photo again, I would have positioned myself so that the highlights are a bit more prominent on his face, considering that the background is quite bright, so it would have been good. But we were having cocktails, I wasn't going to move for that photo, so it's a nice memory. I remember the exact conversation we were all having, so I'm pretty happy with that. This is the same location. I think this is the Hard Rock Hotel. So a lot of lights everywhere, and this one I chose to keep in color, this image of Julia. I just added some noise reduction, and I added some clarity to Julia's hair. And if you zoom in there, it's actually not the correct photo to do this with. I don't think this lens suffers from much chromatic aberration. These blue rims you see here are actually from the lights. That's ambient light from the area. A photo of a cocktail, and Julia's hand, and her sleeve, and her jeans, and a bit of my brother's hand, which I just white balanced and noise corrected, and I don't think there's too much more to say about that one. A fun little photo. I love this photo. I love this image over here. I understand, I know that it's underexposed, but there's just something quite cute about this bee. Let me just show you the edited version. I just raised the highlights a little bit, raised the whites a little bit, and with this one, with photos that have blue skies in general, I'm a bit of a sucker for that calibration change when you take that cyan a bit more to the left. I love what it does to the blue skies, and I love what it does to the reds. You do need to be careful though. It can make a yellow thing, such as a bee, red, more towards the red, but with this image it worked quite nicely. I was happy to keep it overall underexposed, but there's just something so very cute about just having this bee that is not properly in focus, but it's almost as though just caught this bee in a fleeting moment of time, and the bee had no idea it has been photographed. It was just flying by. I do love this image. And while we're at it, let's look at this bee's butt. Very cute. And then while I speak, I'll just show you some more photos of this bee and just zoom in as we... Let's do it for this photo over here. The bee's little pollen sacs. Very cute. Yeah, so I'm not really... those of you that know this channel know that I'm not too worried about the sharpest lens or chromatic aberration and spherical aberration and all the other imperfections that lenses can have. And having said that, the more that I research that stuff, the more attention I do pay to it. But even though this lens doesn't have any of those negative features that one can associate with the lens, it's just the focal length that I'm not a huge fan of, which is fine. It's just a focal length personal preference, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video. But I am happy with how in focus the in-focused parts or components of the photos are, especially with such a small little B and such a wide angle lens with a minimum focal distance of probably around, I don't know, maybe 30-40 centimeters. I'll look it up and I'll put it on the screen right now. When you zoom in, if you nail the focus, it's a pretty lovely crisp image even as you zoom in. I also ended up buying extension tubes or macro tubes. Those things allow this lens to focus really close. I've got a few different focal length adapters or extension tubes, so we'll be playing with that. Maybe I'll go back to this tree and photograph some more bees and see how close we can get a tripod going and all that stuff. This over here looks like an image of my right hand, but it's actually my left hand because I'm using my right hand to take the photo. I'm pretty sure that I fooled all of you. I'm in Italy right now, and I don't know if you can hear it, but my neighbors are shouting. They're literally shouting at each other about pizza. But they're actually fighting about pizza and pasta. I'm not quite sure what's happening, but it sounds like she's really upset that he's very demanding. Goodness gracious. Okay, the next set of photos is from our time in Margate, and this photo in particular of this, what I believe is a jukebox, can show you the haze that is actually apparent. So this one, I went full on sucker mode for that calibration. I calibrated this all the way to the cyans, as you can see in this image. And I'll put a photo next to it of its dehazing, but I feel that the dehazing kind of takes away a characteristic of this lens, and it is an old lens, and I might have to actually pause, continue. I'll just finish this sentence. The adding the dehaze kind of takes a feeling away from that photo. Though I can't understand why anyone would want to dehaze a photo that has haze in it due to a lens, not abnormality, but a lens feature. That's just a feature of an old lens. I'm actually sweating a lot because of these people fighting downstairs. So I'm gonna push stop for a while and let's just get back to it when you see me next. We're back. This next photo, just my feet. I like the colors, and all of these images that you're seeing now are just these few that you're seeing, like the jukebox and stuff, of this really cool, cute little place in Margate called, I think it was called Fez. Some really cool decor in there, and the staff was so friendly and they just feel like they love their life. It's a really fun place. If you ever go to Margate, check out that place. It's pretty cool. And I guess back in the day they used to sell drugs and ice cream in the same place. And here's some photos from Italy. Just tomato and a mozzarella. What have I said about this in my notes? Because now I feel like I'm just showing you photos but not really talking about any lens characteristics. This one here was, I don't know why I took it, and I don't know why I edited it, and I don't know why I put it here, but there's something about it that I like, but I realize that it's out of focus and it's not a fantastic photo, but it's gonna go here. And some black and white building photos of not landscapes, not cityscapes, little town architectural photos. I don't know, just some black and white dramatic buildings on some historical landmarks or buildings in Parma, Parma. Beautiful little town. I've been spending the past week here, spending the days just walking around. I went to this museum that's a puppet collection of a guy called Ferrari. Some pretty cool things in there, pretty cool puppets in there. Just going through all these photos and realizing I don't need to talk about them one by one. And also, as I'm sitting here, I realize that I'm probably out of focus now because I'm supposed to be like over here. Sincere apologies for that. If it's really bad, I'll re-record this. But I don't want to. And here are some toilets. Well, this is a bidet of a really cool bathroom, and there's the toilet from that same bathroom, and here's the orange towel in the yellow version of the bathroom that's next to that bathroom. I thought that the lighting in there was quite cool, and the tiles and the pastel colors within the bathrooms were pretty rad, so I took a few photos. Overall, a fun lens, standard. There's nothing special about this lens. There's nothing quirky about this lens. The only amazing thing about this lens from my perspective is that I managed to get it for about £3, 60 rand, and I've got those macro extension tubes, which I'm very excited to experiment with down the line. And overall, I hope that this was informational enough about the lens, just with the information that you could visually gather from the photos that I've been sharing with you. I have no recommendations whether you should buy this lens or not. If you can get it for a decent price, sure, go for it. If you want to adapt it to, mine's adapted to my S5. If you want to adapt it to your digital camera, it can get the job done pretty nicely. The most important thing is what you're actually photographing with regard to this, and if the focal length is appropriate. And if the focal length is not appropriate, make it appropriate. I think a lot of these photos that I made, the focal length probably wasn't the most appropriate, especially the B. You want to get closer to a B, but it worked out nicely, especially that first one that I showed you that I absolutely love for some reason, despite it being underexposed. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the images. Thank you for being here, and I'll catch you in the next video.